Your videos here, to base be the glory.
Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? 28 what? Who that? Hold that what? Who that what? Feedback what?
Welcome back to Who That 242. I am your host TIMMAY here live on the Southern Podcast Network. This is episode 40. Shout out to our sponsor Live, Believe in Best. We are game changers. They have my Taurus homie in here, you know. LAVADO STUBBS, ConchBoy Films.
All day.
where you talking to us from? You know, good thing with this digital world, I can talk to you from anywhere. Where you at right now?
Right now I'm in my second hub, the second place for ConchBoy Films, Toronto, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to have two places now, you know, to represent the Bahamas, you know, at home and then also up here in Toronto, Canada.
So this isn't the first time I'm interviewing you, but this is the first time you're here on my show. So I gotta ask some of the, even though these, so usually when I talk to guests, I find things for the first time, but for the I guess the pleasure of my guests, I got ask like I know. So I'm talking about when you first moved home, when you know, like going to school, even further than that, the first time you pick up a camera, what was that? And like the first time you ever say, you know, I want to do this for life.
Right. Well, it's a journey. So to make it sort of a short story and condense, I actually started off as a visual artist. You know, I painted.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to that Finco summer camp. A lot of great people, a lot of great creatives came out of that camp. It was run by Antonius Roberts back in the day.
Nice,
It was
nice.
an art summer camp. So a lot of the creatives in the Bahamas came from that summer camp. So even though I started as a visual artist, I specialized in watercolor paintings. I went from that to becoming a filmmaker, you know? And that journey kind of went from, because at the time, you know, I'm not old, but back in the day,
couple years ago.
Exactly, I'm still very young, but there weren't a lot of filmmakers at the time when I was a visual artist. So, you know, it really took me moving when I went to university in Canada is where I really realized, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to become a filmmaker. So I took everything. I was a creative. I was still an artist. So anything that I did as a visual artist, I kind of just turned into filmmaking, you know? Yeah.
When you move back home, your first ad, we can't call the people them name on this podcast. But talk to me about the first ad you did when you came back home and created ConchBoy Films.
Right.
That must have been, that was after the Olympics. That's like 2012. What do you?
Yeah, it was 2012. Right.
Yeah.
So that's around the time. So
that's 10 years ago, man. Wow, a decade. A decade.
Yeah, it's a long time. You know, I watch you grow in your career. You know, I'm so proud of you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
The first production team to now, you know.
Yeah, man.
So cool to see the growth. But I moved from Los Angeles. My journey was Toronto. Went to school, didn't study film, studied sociology. And then after I graduated from a school called York University in Toronto, I moved to Full Sail in Orlando for film. And then I moved to LA to kind of start my career. So from there, from LA, I moved back home. And I took the knowledge of everything I had and I took up to that point to create ConchBoy Films. But ConchBoy Films was really created in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I really, really started my career. And then the launch of that Bahamas ConchBoy Film started when I moved back. So like you said, one of the first ads I did was an Olympic related ad. And that was like a snowball effect, you know?
Because at that point, you being in commercials didn't look like that.
Right.
It didn't look like, we didn't have that cinematic storytelling feel. It was just, and I'm not taking any shots at anybody, but it just wasn't being done. No one was doing ads like that until then. So it's like, what is this, you know?
That makes me feel good to have that from you, man. Because, you know, at the time when you're doing these things, you don't really realize that you're setting a trend or you're breaking the mold at the time you're doing. I just knew I wanted to be different, you know? And, you know, shout out to the company for giving me the opportunity to do that because I was this young guy, straight from LA.
And you had been going so long, they probably didn't even know who you were. You've been to Canada and LA. They probably didn't even remember you from when you was king.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But see, the thing is like, I must say, that was like one of those situations where it was like, let's give this young guy a try, you know? Because right off the back, I was like, I reference Nike commercials. I want to do it this way, that way. and they were like, "Yo, this young kid," because I was younger. That's a long time ago, you know, it's 2012, and they were like, "Let's give him a chance." You know, I had my pitch, my references, and everything, but not until I created and I did it, that's when everything changed. You know what I mean? So anyone that maybe might have doubted this young kid at the time, they were like, "Okay,
the stamp of approval."
Exactly. Yeah. Because there was like from the very beginning of that those particular ads, it was like I was in it from writing it to the development to everything about it. You know, I've just seen it. So that kind of stand and made sort of something that where it was a snowball effect. So from there, people was like, "Who did that ad? I've never seen that before." To another company contacted me. To another company contacted me. So that was what I would say would be the real start. And that's why I always encourage young filmmakers, young creatives, just do it. You know what I mean? The only way you could prove what you can do as a filmmaker is to do it. That's your resume. It's your work. You know, your last work would represent you. You know. Yeah. So
I have told this story maybe 50 times, but I've never actually told you this story. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to tell the story. So 2013, I started working at Volume Music Bar. Shout out to Quelle and Jay Complex who were managing it. His Quelle's little cousin being Judy the Lion. Everybody's favorite artist.
Right.
But if you didn't go to Volume, you didn't really hang out with the DP's crew. You didn't know about Judah.
That's true.
The end of 2014, I joined 10th year seniors.
Right.
Was doing some podcasts for them, like culture stuff. Me and Tage interviewed you because you do like a million things, but there was something special about 2014. We had to get you.
I was going to talk about that. That was my golden year. That year was my golden year. I must say, like everything, like 2012, I moved back. I did that ad that you spoke about earlier. That made a buzz, and then I feel like things were just growing. And 2014 was, I call it my ConchBoy golden year. Like I did Man. And that was big because it was like Sony Records gave an opportunity.
Which Man track was that?
Night and Day.
I love that song so much.
Right, yeah. So I did that, and then I also did the Collect art, which is
right.
Like,
that's what they had you go. You had like 11 days to go do like 5 islands or
right. And before that, Collect didn't really do ads before that. They do a lot of ads now.
Now, yeah.
2014 relaunch.
You pop that Jerry. You know, you pop that Jerry.
It was good. And then also that year, I won a Bohemian Icon Award. So I was very honored by that, humble, you know, getting any honor.
So your 2014 was my 2017.
Exactly right. Yeah. I remember your 2017 year. Yeah. I tell you, bro, because I knew you from way before, from my chemo.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you and your crew, you know.
And which is so special to me. So that I interview you, and after the interview, you told me you had. It was, which company was it? You had to shoot. They had to document you, shoot the music video for that Sunday, and you didn't really know the artist in Nassau. So I selfishly told you, know what?
Yeah.
Judah, because at this point I was working with Judah and listening to Judah for a year, but no one knew about him, right? I said, "But Judah has this amazing song called Outlaw.
Yeah,
I think you should do." So I gave you Judah's number. And you shot the video, the one take video. I let you tell the story, but the reason why I tell the story to people is because as great as Judah was, if you didn't come to Volume Music Bar, if you didn't know him personally, you never knew. Now the artist knew. Judah is your favorite artist, but no one else knew but him. You shot the video for him, which essentially became, I don't want to say the word, but it's kind of like a free video because you needed it. It was an arrangement. It wasn't like he contract you and do all this type of work. You had to really shoot a video for a network in 3 days, and you did it. And that video started Judah getting known to the rest of the country. Now Judah's on every show, but that wouldn't have happened if you and I weren't already. You didn't, because you trusted my opinion on an artist, and you went to him. If we didn't have that friendship, that wouldn't have happened. And we would never do this. I mean, it would have happened eventually because Judah's like immensely talented. Exactly. But at that point in time, he wouldn't have had that amazing cinematic video. And so I always tell people that story because that's so amazing to me because that's how things happen, you know.
It's
Me,
true. Yeah.
I interviewed you for something else because at that point
Exactly.
you weren't really doing music videos. You did the commercials and the movies,
Right.
but you had to
Right.
do a music video specifically. And at
That's
that
what
point, I had to choose one artist. And at that point, I was mounting J Complex. But I said J
Right.
Complex is my artist, but I
Yeah.
think Judah deserves more to get this light. And look at the
I
trajectory
know, right.
now. And the song's called Outlaw.
Right.
But everyone's called it Ride On because they watch the video and they
Right.
just hear Ride On, Ride On,
It's
Ride
true.
On. So now I want you to tell us about that shooting that video in Gambia. And
Right.
I don't want to call it a trick because it's not a trick. It's actually like it's a crazy talent. But your
Right.
thing is the one take. Talk to me
Right.
about that, man. Because like my favorite,
Yeah.
and we spoke about this too. Birdman, the Birdman movie was shot like a one take.
Exactly. All
But
in
actually,
one take. It wasn't an authentic one take. Birdman
yeah,
had smart cuts.
cuts
Straight
just
through.
like Revenant. I believe it's like Revenant.
Exactly.
So talk to me about
Yeah.
why you want, what about the one take like interests
Right.
you, and just let's nerd out about like that technique you use to like do the one take.
Right. Yeah. But let me just you did, that whole situation was because of you. I can remember exactly where we were after that interview when you talked to me and you was like, yo, he has the song. Because I think I met Judah before that. And I knew his music and stuff like that, but I did not know about a lot of his music, like that particular song. So it was a show that was on PBS featuring Bahamians. It was mostly featuring Bahamian musicians. So they decided to feature me as a filmmaker. And I was like, wow, that's amazing because they knew I did music videos. So just like you said, I had to create a music video because they wanted to shoot me doing
in like 3 days. Yeah.
3 days. They wanted behind the scenes of me doing a music video. So in conversation with you, I'm so glad I mentioned that to you. Because if I didn't even mention that to you, you would, it just, I feel God make things happen
Amen.
in the right way at the right time. You know what I'm saying? That's how life is. And when you said that, you said, Vado, Judah has a song named Outlaw. You played it for me. I'm like, yes. And then I think that next day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gave his numbers like by call.
Exactly. Yeah. I said, yo, Timmy showed me the song. It's amazing. And I was like, I listened to this over and over. I have an idea already. Judah didn't even, he was like, Vado, whatever it is, let's do it. You know what I mean? So shout out to him for like being open and as a director, we love to work with artists that are open to the directors and the filmmakers' ideas. And, it's a collaboration process, but we love when they want to take a chance and say, hey, let's go with that idea that you have. And he was all for it. That's what I love about him as an artist. He's not only a talented individual, he's also a very humble.
Oh yeah, he's a great dude.
He's a great dude. And it's like, that's anything you could ask for an artist. He's just an incredible artist. So I remember I pitched it to him and he's like, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm like, it's going to be crazy. And I remember telling him like, I want the TV to buzz. We're going to shoot the whole thing in a one take. It starts off in black and white. And that's what I love about music. When I listen to a song, I get inspired and I start to visually see it in my head. And that's what it was with that. So back to saying that, my love for one takes is, I love it. You know what I mean? I was inspired by music video directors like Spike Jonze that he did one takes, Michelle Gondry. And then one thing that really got me into one takes was J. Cole's Symbol. If people are J. Cole fans, J. Cole very first music video.
Yeah,
this is a long time ago. This low cut hair, J. Cole, man.
Heavy, big jacket and thing, and
exactly. If you know J. Cole, that video inspired me big time because they did that in a one take and it was through a street, and also it inspired a video I did in Toronto right after that because this was around 2009. And I did a one take video, my first one take music video for an artist in Toronto. Shout out to KJ. He's a legend now in Toronto, and we did and the same way like Judah. When I did my very first music video, KJ trusted me. He was like, whatever you want to do, let's do it, and that got a lot of buzz in Canada. So it started off. What I love about one takes is you can't make a mistake, If anybody, if you don't know what a one take is, it's a continuous shot, meaning that the video never cuts. So the camera is rolling from the very beginning to the end. So if you make a mistake, you got to start at the beginning.
All the way over again. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that I was just so excited to do it.
How long would you say? Because no one is perfect, but how long did it take you to perfect the one take? You think?
You know what's crazy? I always most time get it on take 7.
So
I don't
take
know,
7.
take 7. So 7 is being a lucky number for me.
Yeah.
No way. So my son was born on the 7th, you know?
Ah,
So
wow, that's crazy.
7 is just such a cool number for me now because it always happens on a 7 take. You know what I mean? And you know, for that Judah video, I got to shout out the cinematographer, fellow Bahamian Lance Knowles. You know, he did the cinematography for that. And then, as you know, with one takes, it's hard. So you really have to have a good ability to know.
Because you gotta make sure you hold it at that exact angle every single take.
Yes,
And turn
exactly.
that exact, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Because with that, with the Judah video and the behind the scenes that was ultimately on the PBS show, we jump on a truck. So we started on a bike and then we jump on the back of a truck. We follow him. Then we jump off the truck. And then he entered like the center of Gambia.
Right.
It's crazy, man.
By the
You see the
park,
behind the scenes? Right, yeah. So I love it.
I watch it. I would love to watch it again. But I guess it's been about almost 10 years since then. That's
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. And which crazy, that got into it was a festival in Texas, a music video festival. It got into that. That video did a lot of good things. It got into another festival. It was in Florida, and that video up to the day, it's one of my favorite videos, man. And Judah just killed it, man. Like, not only he's good as an artist, he's a good performer, so he knows how to move in a music video. So that, and shout out to Gambia. That, you know, Bahamas, you don't know, that's an historic area in the Bahamas. You know, Bob Marley used to walk in Gambia back in the day. You know,
Wow.
so that's a very historic area. People, you know, people only pass it a lot of times when they going out west.
Get the gang salad.
You should know the history of Gambia, and that's what I want to do as a filmmaker, to really showcase our history. But that's a beautiful historic area. And what I love about Gambia, it's a community. They treat each other like a community. There's a school there. There's the guy that I went to do a lot of stuff. He's considered like the president there, you know. And it's a true community. So what I love about shooting in Gambia, you know. Yeah.
So before I get on to the films you've done in Toronto and your second up now, I'm shout out to our sponsor Live. So bring your own device, you know. Shout out to Shawnee Shoes, the person on this ad, but happy independence to our country. But bring your own device. So if you want a new phone, like me, you postpaid, you can earn up to $450. So like me, who bills be like $100 a month, even though it's worth it, you know. If I get I better buy a new phone soon. Or if you want to be prepaid and you got a new device, you get a new live number. $50 back to cashback, and just log on to www.bilive.com. You get to see all these cashback awards for these different companies, like the less rewards and all that. But bring your own device, BYOD. So back to Lavado, man. So Toronto. Why? I mean, and you look at that's like your second home because you went to college there. But there is, and the culture there and the scene there is so dope. Is there anything that played into you making Toronto your second home? Or did COVID have anything to do with it? A lot of people took a lot of career completely shifts during these last 2 years of lockdowns and COVID. Talk to me about making that move.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like I said earlier, I went to school here back in the day, which is pretty cool. And so Toronto was always something in my heart. It's always the start of my career because before I went to film school, I shot that music video I told you about back then. And I was a production assistant on a lot of sets. I watched like Director X work, some other great Toronto directors like RT, these amazing legends here in Toronto. I watched them work as a production assistant back in the day. So it just came full circle because my fiance is from Toronto, and and my son was born in Toronto. So it's like a full circle element coming back home. Amazing how life works. Because it's like it's not a new place for me. I went to university here, and my career started here. So I think I was always supposed to come here, but life and God just made me come back here. So what it is now is I've done work here. I've done some stuff here. I've done a really cool music video, which is a one take. I don't know if I showed it to you, but it's a reverse one take.
Oh, you guys sent me that in this interview over, so I can watch that.
So it's not named his really alternative artist. I did it, but I did it in reverse. The song is called Moving Backwards. So the entire thing is happening in reverse, but it's a one take. It's crazy. So sticking with my one take, I did it. So right now, what it is ConchBoy is now have a Toronto hub and a Bahamas hub. So what I'm trying to do as well is try to get like even maybe some behemoth things done here in Toronto, because there's a lot more resources. You know, like we have
Right.
crazy studios here, some cameras that, you know, it's impossible for me to ship a crazy slow motion camera, camera we call phantom camera, to the Bahamas, you know. So we can bring the productions here. So that's my goal, is to try to say, hey, you know, we have these two hubs, whereas Toronto, Bahamas, there's an office here, like I'm in my office here right now, and office in the Bahamas. We have two hubs. You know?
I was on a shoot. I think I spoke to your brother, who actually like on the Zoom call, and like directed a shoot from Toronto. Like it's crazy how between our family connections and having technology, you could do anything from anywhere in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So shout out to companies like Alive, you know, like this technology, you know, and that's what I've been doing, especially during the pandemic. I feel like I need to like tell film websites my story. Like I've mastered directing virtually.
Right.
And I tell people, listen, they're like, oh my gosh, how did you do it? You know, but during the pandemic, it was a little crazy in terms of traveling back and forth. So I kind of had to adapt.
And you didn't want to get stuck, especially with the amount of family. Like you didn't want to get stuck.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Orders were closed and there was all kind of crazy stuff. So there was one of those situations where I was like, you know what? Let me figure out how to direct virtually. And I mastered it. As you was on set when you seen it happening. So I'm literally on the phone on FaceTime or WhatsApp video, and I'm directing virtually, because honestly and truly, this stuff was happening even before the pandemic. It's just that now the pandemic make you realize that you can do this, you know, because
it's possible.
It's possible. Exactly. So you could be anywhere and you could direct. So, and once, because as a director, we have the blueprint already laid out. And
it's just communicating that.
Exactly. It's just 2 days or 1 day or how many days of production of just getting it done. But the blueprint is already laid out. And then it comes to me afterwards for post-production. So afterwards, I have to still work as a director and piecing it together. You know what I mean? So editors been doing this for years, because editors can be anywhere around the world. Colorists, like when I did Bahamian video, it was color graded by a huge company called Company 3. They're one of the biggest colorist company in the world, and I was amazed by doing that. Like, these people, they color Marvel movies, they color grade, like, you know, colors are very technical, you know, yeah, but it's, you know, it's the finishing. And I remember I couldn't go to LA when I did that video, and I remotely with color grading. So these things were going on in film for a long time, but I think directors and cinematographers are now realizing that they could do the same thing. And like, I ran to write an article. I even did a documentary virtual, you know, that's winning awards and going to festivals. So I realized, like, once you know your craft, you could do it. And I think because so many years I've been doing this, and I have a strong team that I consistently work with in the Bahamas, and they know me, you know, they know my style, they know who I am, you know. Yeah.
So before you get that, I know you got to go, but I want you to talk about the current project you are promoting right now, and just talk as much as you can about that project.
Okay. Yeah. So recently I did a short film in Toronto called Training Wheels. You know, and it's a film about a Black father and a 6-year-old son taking a stroll in their suburban neighborhood. And then something happens that kind of changes the boy's life forever, you know, like a life-changing situation. So it's a very powerful film. You know, I created the film, I wrote the film around the time when my son was born, and realizing that I'm now based in the Bahamas and Toronto, North America, and, you know, the current issues, and the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and the current issues that needed to be talked about but was never talked about. So I wanted to really explore that in the film. My son inspired me full force. As you know, you're a father, you know, that moment when your child is born,
life changing.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just changes you so much for the great. And like, I even gave him a production assistant credit in this film. My son named. So if I don't want to force him to be a filmmaker, but if he somehow one day want to be a filmmaker, he has his first production credit as an infant. You know?
That's all.
Yeah, but I can see the creative in him now too. Like, he loves music, so I love that. And trying to nourish and explore that. But as if what he wants to do. So Training Wheels, it's a powerful short film. It's a narrative. I'm now pushing towards going into more towards narrative films. I did a lot of documentaries and short documentaries, but I'm gaining towards more narratives. Whereas, it's a full script. It's a short film with dialogue, with actors, and the whole goal is to move towards feature films.
Mhm.
So Training Wheels is doing really well. It screened at the Toronto Black Film Festival, which is really cool in Toronto. Toronto people know about it. Spike Lee's talk one year there. It's a
Wow.
really well-known, accredited, what they call Canadian Screen Awards, accredited, it's like the Canadian Oscars, accredited film festival in
Yeah,
Canada.
right.
It's screened in St. Vincent in the Caribbean, which I'm very happy. Charlotte, and then a few other places we're waiting to hear from, and then hopefully the Bahamas International Film Festival.
Yeah, hopefully
and
Biff and Allen House comes back so we can see you
Island
again.
House as well. Shout out to both of them, yeah. And then
Yeah.
I'll be able to get it to the human audience. I look forward to those two festivals
So,
because
but
that's
I assume by this winter we should be out of this hopefully this COVID, this end of the COVID. So I hope to see you
Right.
back in December and January for those film festivals.
yeah, man. I'm coming. I'm home more often now. I'm
Mhm.
home and I have projects like shout out to Live. I just did the recent project that's released, and the project before that was Shawnee.
Mhm.
That was magical. I admire Shawnee for years, and the opportunity to film a commercial with her was amazing. So shout out to Live for that.
The fastest
So
woman in the world is a
She's
Bahamian.
exactly Bahamian, yeah. She's such a wonderful person to work with.
Mhm.
She is like, wow, like, I work with so many actors, actresses, and individuals, and the superstardom that she's at. She's such a humble person and just an easy person to work with. So shout out to her. And I'm very happy that she's continuing representing our country, and I'm proud that I was able to work with her and meet her. So
Yeah.
shout out to her, and then shout out to the Amazing Alive team for that opportunity. So some great things are coming, man. Tim, I always I don't like to say what I have working
Yeah,
what I'm
cooking.
working
Of
on.
course, of course, of course. But I
Yeah,
would
that's how
let
we are.
people know where they could find your work, where they could follow, where they could book you, so people know how they could contact you.
Okay, so you can find me on any social media, either my production company or my name. You can type in Lavado Stubbs, LAVADO STUBBS, or ConchBoy Films, ConchBoyFilms. And you could go on any social media, Instagram, Facebook, type in those exact names, and then you could follow me. I encourage any filmmakers or creators that want to get into this field to reach out to me. I'm proud to say that I've mentored a lot of young Bahamian filmmakers that are doing amazing things. So if you're interested, you don't have to be young. Even if you're an adult and you want to get into this, I want to really see our industry as one of the number ones, not only the Caribbean but in the world. So shout out to all of my fellow filmmakers. There's so much, so much people to
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
Every
man.
one of you guys keep doing amazing stuff. The artists, the filmmakers, everybody, the visual artists. You guys know my friends, my people, my family in the film industry. Keep up the good work. And you too, Timmy.
Thank you, man.
Proud of you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. This has been episode 40. Shout out to the Solid Podcast, and shout out to Live, and we see you guys next time. And happy Independence, Bahamas.
Yes,
40,
happy
40,
independence.
49 years as a country. Next year 50. I hope to see something wonderful next year for 50.
Man, I think
And even I like even creative wise, I can't see how people are gonna document 50. So I think that's gonna be amazing, man.
that's the stuff I want to do. So hopefully look out for that.
I'll look up for that. So till next
I
time,
hope,
see
man. Big year.
man. See you guys later.
Who that?